Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. As always, so amazing to have you with me here today on our Training Thursday episode of the show. I know our Thursday shows sometimes rotate now between Toxic Thursdays, our Case Study Thursdays, every once in a while an interview, but we are back with our Exercise Training Thursdays. Love sticking to my roots, love getting back to what I've been doing really for the past many years. We'll just put it that way. I think it's been over 25 years now. But I'll tell you this, that so much of our health issues, so much of our energy issues, so much goes into essentially not moving our body enough. But what happens when you get back to trying to move your body, exercise, get back to the gym, work out, and you feel absolutely exhausted, or worse, you have something called exercise intolerance, or you have something like long haulers. I don't want to say the C word, right? Because it still can sometimes get us shadow banned, but you're dealing with just these massive lethargy and fatigue issues. What do you do? So I've done previous shows on this. If you want to check out my viral-based shows, you just go to stephencabral.com/podcast, scroll through those fun little images at the top, and you'll find the latest virus updates. I haven't done a virus update show in a while, and because the truth is that there's not a whole lot new. And since there's not a whole lot new, I'm not going to waste your time because I take your time very seriously. I want to talk about the topics that are new, that are cutting edge, that I know that you need to know about for you and your family. But what about all these people who literally they go to exercise and then the next day they have flu-like symptoms? They're exhausted. They have brain fog. They're tired. They're inflamed. Their joints hurt, right? Like it's just an absolute mess. And I totally understand it because, that's how I pretty much lived my life for many years. Now, I'm not saying everybody has what's called myalgic encephalomyelitis. If you've never heard about this before, you probably haven't because, hey, it's not that common in the human vernacular, right? And most medical doctors don't even know what myalgic encephalomyelitis is, or there's different ways of calling it. But essentially, just talking about massive inflammation with your muscles and nervous system. So any extra stressor on them makes you even more tired. Makes sense, right? But again, conventional medicine, they don't usually explain it like that. Well, that's essentially what ME is. That's what chronic fatigue syndrome essentially is. Addison's disease is kind of part of that. It's just like the highest level because you don't produce enough cortisol. So if you don't produce enough cortisol, you have all sorts of ATP issues. You have all sorts of glycogen issues. You have all sorts of energy-based issues. It's just not good. But again, there is an answer for everything. Hopefully you tuned in 2 days ago when I talked about how to get well when nothing else works, right? I mean, that's so important. And that show was about wellness. It was about weight loss and body transformation. It was about aging. It was about digestive. It's like, if nothing's working, this is what you do. Like, this is the way to getting well. And so what I want to share with you here today, though, is that the way that you overcome exercise intolerance or feeling exhausted or fatigue in general is actually with more exercise. Now, I know that seems like it's a conundrum, it's a double-edged sword because you need to do it in order to get more energy, but when you do it, you feel exhausted, and all of that's true. So I don't want to I really don't like to rehash what I've already gone over, and the reason is that I want you to just build off of this knowledge base. So I'm going to link up today at episode 2281, the 4 phases of exercise, my GEP program that I talk about. It's a graduated exercise program. There are many out there. I just know from clinical practice doing this for 20 years that this works. And I take you through it in a typical, on a previous podcast. I'm going to link that up today at stephencabral.com/2281. But basically you're moving from walking to cardio to body weight exercise to then resistance weight training HIIT, right? Like that's the pinnacle. So many people step in and they start doing HIIT right away or boot camps right away, but they haven't done anything in months or maybe even years. And then they're totally fatiguing their body. You're not going to get extra benefit from going from 0 to 100 miles an hour with your body. You're just going to burn it out. So I'm not going to go over the GEP protocol right now. I'm going to assume that you've progressed through it and now you're at some type of body weight training or weight training. What I want to share with you today is something that I have been experimenting with a lot more lately, and here's why, and I wanted to share it with you. So in exercise science, the closer you get to your 1 rep max, the more neurology or neuromuscular, or the more of the neuromuscular system begins to activate. All that means is that there is more strain on your nervous system to move through smaller to medium to larger muscle fiber motor units to a faster degree. So for example, if you're doing a bench press and you have 225 pounds above your chest on a bar, and let's just say you weigh 185 pounds, that's more than your own body weight that you're lifting. That's a good amount of weight for most people. All right, so you're lowering that bar in control, but your job now, if it's your let's just say 3 rep max, is to move that weight. You're going to push hard off of your chest. Okay, that is not staying with isolated muscle tension. You are recruiting as much muscle and large motor units in those particular muscles, let's just say anterior deltoid, the front of your shoulder, pec, minor, major, you're using some lat, you're using triceps, like you're moving that bar, right? Everything from your forearm extensors and flexors to make sure your wrists don't buckle. And you are just all out squeezing, pushing hard. Nervous system is firing hard because, it's not life or death, but you've got 225 pounds above you, right? So you need to be working hard. All right. So the lower the reps, the more nervous system and absolute strength is involved. As we start to move up, it gets to be about strength. Then there's this so-called hypertrophy range between 8 and 12 reps. And I think that's fair. You move more away from what's called, I don't want to get too deep into it today, fibers versus fluid in the muscle, right? So hypertrophy is also about getting more fluid inside of the actual muscle, the sarcoplasm, to inflate the muscles because the muscles are over 70% fluid or water, right? So that's a big part of it. And then it's typically said, well, when you get above, let's say 15, 20 reps, it becomes more of almost like aerobic-based muscle work. But I've really been doing, I question everything. I question all of my thoughts. I question all of my beliefs. I question all of my programs. And I'm always trying to refine them, make them better. Refine them, make them better. How can I take this to the next level? Well, what I realized was every client, I wrote a book on this called A Man's Guide to Muscle and Strength. I wrote it over a decade ago. Still holds true to this day because the human body hasn't changed and neither has exercise. And it's not just for men, it's for women, but it was published by a publisher called Human Kinetics. They're a big, essentially, textbook, fitness industry, and they're a great company. Don't get me wrong. And again, I don't even make $1 per book. So I'm not selling you the book, but all of the workouts are in there. So when I'm referring to them, if you ever want to see them, you can feel free. It's like $15 for a year of workouts. But anyway, the workouts we always gave people was called Starter Workout 1 and Starter Workout 2. And I'm just going to give you them anyway. So what they are is essentially unilateral based exercises, one-arm chest press, those types of things. But they're at 15 reps. And we would do 3 sets. And so a lot of people would consider that like too much volume. But one of the reasons we did that is because we had to teach form and technique. It's really important. And we wanted people to get a better mind-muscle connection. And there's a lot of people in this industry teaching that. The Mind Pump guys teach it. Jay Ferrugia teaches it. Ben Pakulski teaches it. Like the top people that I know, good friends of mine, colleagues of mine, they teach the right thing. The way to stimulate a muscle is by keeping tension on it. And the way that we were able to teach, especially beginner clients, is by more reps. We just simply needed more time to do the exercise to be able to cue them on it. If they did it for 5 reps, well, we couldn't really cue them. Like they had to already know the exercise. But the crazy thing is, like yes, there might be beginners, and so their results are going to be better. They would get not just good results, they would get amazing results on that. But as we progress the programs, we would start to do more in like the 10 to 12 rep range, and then eventually they become, a little bit more adapted to exercise, and we might be doing like 3 sets or 4 sets of 8 if people wanted a little bit more strength hypertrophy. For some people, we would do 5 by 5 sets, so 5 sets of just 5 reps, and we would play with the recovery. And again, like these are all like cutting edge exercise-based programming. But when you've been through it for a while and you've been doing strength training, if your goal is to add more muscle, it's interesting because it's not just me, but some people, a few colleagues of mine, I see them in their own exercise, and then I see oftentimes what they're recommending to other people. And what I see them doing is actually getting more reps in. Meaning like even if they set their program for maybe 12 reps, I see them and they're doing like 15, 20 reps. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like they're not stopping when they hit 12 reps or 15 reps. They're going to failure. And I think that that's one of the big things that we're missing. And I don't want to make this, again, too much about just what you should be doing for your workouts because I'm talking about what if you're exhausted. Well, here's the thing. I am someone, like even from birth, my constitution. So again, if you know your Ayurvedic constitution, your somatotype, you understand, again, whether you're more neurologically charged or less. If you're more of a Vata or ectomorph, you have to be careful with that nervous system, right? It's a blessing, but it's also a curse. If you're an endomorph, you can push that nervous system typically, right? You can, right? And you need to, because you need to keep your nervous system and your body more stimulated because you're typically more in the rest and relax state rather than fight or flight. Anyway, understand your constitution. Realizing before I've been through, I've done all sorts of different training programs. I love exercise. I love lifting. But I shared this with many of you, and I moved away. I moved back towards every other day with weight training. But as we're moving into summer, I love switching up my programs. I'm like, all right, I want to be able to stimulate more muscle growth as just a new goal for the summer. And I'm not talking about 20 pounds. I'm talking about like 5 or 6 pounds. I'm not talking about anything outrageous, right? Because I don't want to sway too much for my body size right now. I'm healthy this way. I'm energetic this way. I don't have to overeat protein this way. I don't have to over-exercise or overlift, but I enjoy this. So what I've been doing is I've actually lightened my weight and increased my reps. Now, there'll be a lot of people out there who say, whoa, those reps are way too high. Those are junk reps, or they're just not doing anything for you. I want to just want to keep our minds open. There's a lot of personal trainers. There's a lot of fitness people listening to the show. I have experimented with 20 to 25 rep sets. Now, again, it seems like an enormous amount. Okay. I just want to share with you, though, what my experience has been, and then hearkening back to when I also was doing this with certain clients. When I was previously doing 8 rep to 10 rep sets, and I would do 3 or 4 of those sets, there would be a noticeable little fatigue maybe the next day, especially when starting a new program. What does that fatigue feel like? Well, just a little less natural get up and go. Like I actually need caffeine instead of just enjoying a cup of coffee, right? That's that slight difference. The cognitive ability isn't quite as sharp as it is. There's just a little bit more overall inflammation. That makes sense, right? There's a little bit more strain, not just on the muscles, but actually the nervous system. So it's very interesting. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. It's a hermetic stressor. If it doesn't wear you out, well, your body will continue to adapt and get stronger. Now, that though did not allow though for consecutive workout days of lifting heavy and hard that way. Now, I still did cardio the other days and it works great. No doubt about it. It's a great program. There's no problem with it. But would there be a way that I could work out 2 days on, day off, 2 days on? Well, going back to the same programs that I would use with ME or people like that is how can we get more tension on the muscle, which doesn't take as long to recover, rather than nervous system, which would exhaust you. The nervous system, think of it as deep energy. The muscles, think of it as superficial, right? So the 20 to 25 rep sets, and if you're trying this, start out with just 1 set. The nice thing is this, the first 10 reps, you feel as long as you are connecting your mind to your muscle. And the reason why I say this is, for people out there, you could do a chest press right now with no bands, no anything, and feel your chest muscles flex, right? If you can't, that means you're lacking the mind-muscle connection. So I could choose a weight that's half of the weight that I used to do and actually feel those muscles for the first 10, start to continue to push them, keep the rhythm a little bit slower than I typically would. And then when you fail at a heavy weight, you fail within a rep or two. But when your rep range is 20 to 25, you can fail over the course of 5, 6, 7 reps, and you can do it safely. And the muscle tension stays on the muscles, not on the neurological based fatigue where you're bringing in maybe a lot of other motor units, a lot of other muscles. It's interesting. So when I started doing this, and I'm going to give you updates for sure, I get the muscle soreness a little bit the next day with the new program, but I don't get any of that slight twinge of brain fog and a little bit of that need for a little bit of caffeine, which I don't have the need for it on a typical day. And when I do the second day, same thing. I'm not working the same exact body parts, but I'm doing a complementary workout to it. It's been fascinating because, again, I love the science. I also love being able to experiment with my own body. And I believe that when it comes to exercise, especially, you need to find the right program that works for you. So if you're someone, though, that experiences exhaustion with exercise, it's almost always the dosage. It's like I talked about on Tuesday's show, episode 2279. You can get benefit from a lot of food or nutritional supplements or programs out there, but sometimes when you use them, it's just too much and you actually get the negative, you get the reverse. Well, exercise is what does help heal your body, but if you do too much, it makes you worse. Like, there's no doubt about it. I used to go play a pickup basketball game when I was like 21 years old in college, and I'd have the flu. I'd literally have flu-like symptoms for 2 weeks. It was that bad. Most people will never understand exactly what that means and how that is, but I had swollen glands, swollen throat, dry mouth, dry throat, nasal passage would feel congested. I'd have massive inflammation and brain fog, tired joints, heavy legs like lead, flu-like symptoms. After playing a pickup game for 30 minutes with my buddies. That was exercise intolerance. That is myalgic encephalitis. I had Addison's disease. I had good reason for that. Could I have shot around a basketball and done some layups for 5 minutes? Probably could. And all a full court basketball game for 30 minutes? No, I couldn't. I should have worked up to it, right? Same with weight training. If you're out there doing a weight training program and feeling exhausted, it's the total volume. Look at the amount of sets you are doing, and then look at the weight you are moving. If you're doing sets that cause you to fail below 12 repetitions, it's probably pushing your nervous system too much. I'm not saying those aren't good workouts. They are. And I'll be using them as well in my programs, right? Eventually, right now I'm doing a little higher rep, experimenting, but I'm also going to do low rep day, higher rep day, day off. Lower rep day, higher rep day, day off. I'm going to be playing with that, providing additional hermetic stressors on my body. I've been doing this a long time. My body's very healthy. I just have to find out again, like, I'm not someone that can sleep 9 hours a night. I'm not willing to eat 200 grams of protein a day. Like, I'm balancing overall health, wellness, family, time in the gym, sleep, all of those things as someone that's busy, probably just like you, right? When I was in my 20s, I had a whole lot more time for, exercise and those types of things. But here's the thing. I want to pull this together at the end. The more you go to failure, especially at lower reps, the more you are straining your nervous system, the more time you need to recover. The more that you put the strain on the muscle, a little bit higher reps, and feel the burn in the muscle, not exhaustion over the body, and leave your workout with more energy than you came in, you are most likely tipping the scales in your favor. If you leave a workout exhausted, you are depleting your body of energy most likely. So this is especially for people that are trying to recover, get into exercise, improve their overall exercise. Now here's the program. You're going to complete, let's say, 3 to 5 exercises. You're just starting out. You're just trying to get back into it. Choose a balanced program like I've talked about before on many of my training Thursdays. I won't go through that here today. A couple upper body movements, push, pull, lower body movement, not too many for the lower body, which is just going to be a little bit more exhausting when you're first starting out. You're going to do 1 set. You'll probably just do body weight to start. You might want to do it in the 15 to 20 rep range. maybe even right around the 20. You're going to choose a weight or alleviate some of your body weight in a way that you can do that amount of reps without becoming exhausted. Especially in the beginning, you want to take it to failure. Eventually, you can start to. Then after week 1, after you've just done one set, because you can't do less than one set, and you can't do less than body weight really, right? So 1 set body weight. Are you tired and fatigued the next day? If the answer is no, fantastic. Then you're going to add a second set of body weight or that light weight at that same exact rep range. Are you tired, have brain fog, joint pain, inflammation the next day? If the answer is yes, then what you will do is that next time you go to do that workout, you will go back to that 1 set. Okay. Do you have brain fog? Well, no, you already know you don't. Good. Then again, go back to the 2 sets. Do you have brain fog, fatigue? Just very slight. Okay, that's okay then. You're going to give yourself a day off because you want a day off in between the beginning. Then you're going to do that again. Same volume, just 2 sets. When there is no longer that fatigue and that brain fog that next day, great. Now you can try that 3rd set or introduce another exercise to that workout. This is how you're going to be able to slowly and carefully progress while getting the benefits at the same time. So you want the benefits of providing a hermetic stressor in your body. What does that mean? You're asking your body to do something it is not currently capable of doing, which means it causes some type of muscle fatigue, some type of burn there, right? It causes some muscle tissue breakdown. As long as you don't overdo it, you don't create too much inflammation. If you don't create too much inflammation, you're not going to have that joint pain, inflammation, brain fog, fatigue, etc. that next day. So your goal is slow, progressive overload. If you do that, within about a period of 8 to 12 weeks, you're going to be, again, light years ahead of where you were. And the amazing thing is this, your body now is better adapted to stress. And it got better adapted to stress through controlled exercise. You are the one that is adding the stressor. And because of that, your body's like, okay, if you're going to force us to add this stress to the body, as long as it's not too much, we're going to rebuild stronger. Better mitochondria, better functioning mitochondria, more mitochondria, a better balance between that Th1, Th2 immune system, and you are producing better neurotransmitters and metabolic hormones in your body. For men and women, cortisol, testosterone, and a better balance of DHEA as well. This is the way that we're able to introduce exercise into a GEP protocol. Remember the walking, the cardio, body weight. Then when you start to add weights, then eventually, again, sky's the limit. HIIT training, max training, sprint interval training, Tabatas, whatever you like. But there's no need to start there. It doesn't provide you better benefit, especially if it's going to cause you to become exhausted and not stick with it. The true secret always to success is perseverance and consistency. All that matters is that you're doing more days than not of movement, more days of not than exercise. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and a weekend day. Just try to choose some days where you just do a little bit of work. How did it feel? Not too bad? Good. Do it just a little bit more. Oh, that was a bit too much? We pull back. Try it again next week. How'd it feel? Oh, not too bad. Just on the twinge. Good. Let's stick with that until you're not overloaded. The goal is not to exhaust yourself. Remember, all of life can exhaust us. We do not want our workouts to exhaust us. Leave every workout with more energy than you came in. And then every once in a while, sure, you can push it. But you've earned it at that point. Your body's ready. Hopefully this was helpful. Always feel free to let me know any of your thoughts, any of your comments. And as always, if this was helpful, please do feel free to share it with anyone else you believe it could serve. Ever wonder what the best sauna, blue blockers, sleep trackers, wake lights, salt lamps, or other health gadgets are? Or what about the top non-toxic mattresses, sheets, soaps, bath products, toothpaste, and cookware? Or would you like to know the cleanest choices for hemp parts, meal delivery services, supplements, and much more? I personally curated, researched, and now created a resource page of all of my top picks that continues to grow each week. These are the exact products I use in my own life, with my family, in my private practice, and they're the ones I trust. To find out all of my up-to-date recommendations and all the details, simply head on over to stephencabral.com/resources.